Does that sound familiar to you?
Which one? Try it again.
The model kit that you were talking about is one of two. It was either the F-19 or it was the TR-7 Thunder Dart. That would have been the little one that could have piggybacked.
Yeah, no, what he was referring to, the little one, was the D-21.
Oh, gotcha, gotcha. Okay, that was the drone with the big nozzle on the nose. Okay.
Yeah, that had a ramjet. It was a Mach 3.8.
Okay, Mike.
1,000-foot altitude.
That's a wave rider, but
yes.
it was probably
Correct.
Inspired.
Correct.
But I will tell you this right now, that has nothing to do with what we're talking about here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That thing's common knowledge. Everybody knows what that is.
Well,
yeah. But,
so Bill, did you actually speak to Ben on the phone, Bill?
Yes.
You did?
Absolutely. In fact, he was pretty excited to talk to me because apparently he'd heard that I'd done all these drawings and that they were from United States Army Counterintelligence Corps witnesses.
Okay.
A lot of what I did was deathbed.
okay.
Or close to. I'm an old-fashioned gumshoe private eye. I carry a badge right now. I work law enforcement and corrections in Florence, Arizona, with the worst of our worst.
I drive out Florence every once in a while when I'm heading up to Show.
Okay, so I got one house in Coolidge and another one in Cactus Forest.
Okay.
We can meet for lunch someday, somewhere.
Catalina?
Sure.
I just wanted you two guys to meet over the phone, that's all, you know, because you have similar backgrounds.
No, I would be all for that. So
Yeah. Good.
Okay, so does Mike have your email and
Oh,
your
of
phone
course,
number?
I've got all that information.
All right. So, do you have a pen and a piece of paper?
Who, me?
Yeah.
No, I'm outside smoking weed.
All right, listen, Mike is going to give you my contact
Right.
information
Roger that.
at a time that is comfortable for you.
That's good.
Yeah, anytime's comfortable for me. I'm not a morning person. I'm a night owl. I'm part vampire.
My job forces me to be a morning person, and I pay the consequences.
Yeah.
So, Bill...
I mean, I had a hell of a time when I was stationed up in Alaska, because I would be up all night, and as the sun's coming up, it's going to come up for, 45 minutes, and then start going down again. And then during the summer, it was daylight all the time, so... But no, I've always been a night person. I've had jobs where I had to get up at 4:30 every fucking morning, and I liked the job, but I hated.
Right.
I had to leave. I had to get up at 4:30 and get ready to hit the road by 5:15, 5:20. And I lived in the west end of Minneapolis, and I was going on the east side of St. Paul. So I was fighting traffic coming and going.
Well, listen, Jim, your last name is Goodall, spelled the same way as Jane Goodall?
That's right.
Okay. Okay, like Jane Goodall, I also have experience with chimpanzees.
Well, Jane was on Whidbey Island. She was giving a talk at it was in the high school auditorium. And I tried to get a ticket for it, and I couldn't. And I was going to go in there and give her one of my books, an autograph book to Jane Goodall from Jim Goodall. So I get one of her books autographed from Jane Goodall to me, So, but I didn't get a chance to meet with her. It was just it was too much of a logistics problem. And
she defended my thesis. Covering 4 separate classes at Cal State Fullerton when I dared my professors in 1991 to grade me for 4 separate classes in criminology and deviant psychology and all of that based on primate alpha dominance. And this was prior to the Hillary Clinton, September 1993, where political correctness entered the workforce. In 1991, I created a hell of a hullabaloo at Cal State Fullerton, and people were asking Joel Plummer Cobb to get me expelled and dumped. And what ended up happening is Jane Goodall came in and weighed in on my side of the argument. And so I got my college credits and I graduated with a 3.98. And the GI benefit paid off rather well.
Yeah.
But the hilarious thing was Larry Flint of Hustler magazine published my thesis verbatim in 3 issues of that magazine.
Holy shit.
Bill, while we got every...
They said their thesis read by that many people, or at least available to that many people.
Well, let's just say I got a lot of letters. And some of them were a bit of a nuisance.
While we're all on the phone here, Bill, what else did Ben tell you over the phone? What else did he tell you?
I'm getting tired. I have a long drive, but let's see. So there was the an item, and then he said something about, oh yeah, there's the vehicles that we build, and then there's the vehicles that they build.
Reverend? It's like the letter that Michael has, the original that Ben Rich wrote to John, and the letters that John wrote to Ben.
Oh yeah, I got a copy of that somewhere as well.
Yeah, I was there when he was writing them.
Yeah.
And I was in his office when he got the letter back from Ben.
Hey, did when Ben was talking to all you guys, was Jan Harzan there at the time?
No.
Or was that a different event?
Yeah.
The 93 event?
Jan wasn't involved with Jim.
Okay.
No. No.
Okay, because Jan Harzan worked for Sony at that time, and Ben had told him the same thing as well.
So,
Yeah.
Bill, you're saying then that both Kelly and Ben saw the Roswell craft? Is that what you're saying?
I'll stake my life on it.
Jim, what is your response to that? What is your response to that, Jim?
I mean, like Ben said, being out in the desert, that's 50 years beyond what you can comprehend.
Listen, Ben was a man of education, mathematics, letters. He wouldn't have said something like that as a joke.
He said it at UCLA in front of, it was aeronautical school, the graduate school.
That's where Jan was. That's where Jan was.
Okay, but he stopped from telling you directly that he saw the Roswell craft, right? He never told you that. He stopped short of that.
He said, "Let me just tell you, it's a little bit like when you marry the love of your life."
Okay.
He compared. He said that vehicle. He also used the words "holy grail of all aviation," which is where I think you got that from, right? From the Ben Rich quote.
Well, not necessarily, but I get.
Well, you either got it from him or you got it from me.
No.
Because I was the one that published that in those same magazines that I was just telling him about.
Okay. Okay.
So. The Models magazine that was coming out of England, the really glossy one that was really awesome, I was contributing to that. I also did 3 issues of that when the tester model kit of the Roswell UFO came out, and also the crash site kit.
All right, so this whole comment about marrying the love of your life, he was referring to the Roswell craft?
Absolutely. He said that thing was the Holy Grail, and that if you lay eyes on it, it's almost like laying eyes on your bride.
Ooh, Jim, that's some meat on the bones right there, Jim. What do you think? That's some meat on the bones right there.
I mean, Ben said at UCLA, he said,
who's going to deny this at this point?
We had the ability to take E.T. home. Now just think of that statement.
I know.
Who is going to deny this at this point? You know, people love to tell me I'm full of shit, including my own wife. But I got to tell you, pursuing this for the last 27 years has not been a waste at all. And tonight has definitely paid for your airline ticket and your hotel.
Okay.
You definitely hit a grand slam with this trip to Phoenix.
Oh.
Especially putting him and me together.
Of course.
And we got it on video.
We got it on film, yes we do.
See, I'm suffering from Parkinson's disease, and I'm suffering from several other issues. And we're starting a series of tapes, you know, which I want him to treat like the Quester tapes from the old Gene Roddenberry movie. And to make sure that my legacy is handled, and that my wife and my children have complete access to everything. But he's got to learn some interview skills because he's got me drifting in 4 different directions at once. And I think I'm going to have to take charge of the presentation on the next one.
Well, I wanted to cover everything. Not last thing, Bill, where is the Roswell craft now and the bodies? Where are they?
Well, the last I heard, it was at level 23 under Cheyenne Mountain. And that's not the bodies. That's just the vehicle.
Okay.
The other story I heard is that after she left Area S4, she ended up at a Canadian Air Force base that is literally tunneled out of the inside of a mountain. Have you heard anything about Queen Victoria Air Base up in Canada?
No.
Okay.
And I know a number of people who fly out of Cold Lake, and I think that they would have dropped me a hint or something that something was new and exciting. I know the Swiss have put their airplanes and they can take off from in there inside tunnels. You know.
Okay. Well, to answer Mike's question. Richard Tungate's testimony was that he and General Douglas Wyatt rolled that thing up with help, and they stuck it in a cargo shipping container because it was small enough to fit inside a cargo shipping container with its fins drooped all down and its wings rolled up because it was completely de-energized. And they put it on a train car. And it went to Cheyenne Mountain via train hubs in Colorado. Then, years later, Bob Lazar came up with a vehicle matching my drawing, which I didn't do until after Bob Lazar had done his drawing. No idea at the time that that there would be any connection, but it turned out that the Roswell vehicle, according to Bob Lazar, was at Site 4. After that, it went to Canada because too many people, brown-nosing too many people, were up on Freedom Ridge and Whitesides with their long-range lenses.
I helped find and work out the path to Freedom Ridge with Glenn Campbell.
In fact, there were a lot of people that were too chicken shit to drive the trail that you blazed, especially bouldering up and over. And I did it in one of those Toyota trucks with 8 people crammed inside and managed not to roll that bitch. What would it have been, an 1,800-foot roll?
Yeah, something like that.
Bill, one other thing. Now, are you saying that this adds validity to Bob Lazar because you talked about the reactor in the Roswell craft that was half the basketball with the waveguide, and then the sport model has the waveguide also coming up from the top of the reactor? Are you saying that they're one and the same reactor?
My witnesses that worked with Nixon actually confirmed that with nearly identical words. You have to remember that President Nixon was made by Eisenhower to deal with this shit. Eisenhower could deal with Nazis and the Soviets. When it came to this stuff, he wanted Nixon and Hillenkoetter to deal with it. In 1966, Blanchard died, in the Pentagon at his desk, and he was the only other guy that anybody really wanted to handle that. But Nixon knew, and it's why his alcoholism, according to many, went into high gear, along with Patricia's.
Was it, oh shit, what's the, is it Blanchett, from Kentucky, the congressman? Is it Bruce? Is his last name Bruce?
I know who you're talking about.
I don't know Kentucky Congress people. I have no interest in Kentucky.
Yeah, the last name was, I think Blanchard. But he's the one who was heading up the initial UFO group. And
Blanchard ended up being chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, who died at his desk in the 60s, I think during the Johnson administration.
Yeah, that was before Brantley. My mind isn't where my nose is a little bit fried right now, so you have to excuse me.
That's fine.
Listen,
we'll call it
between my fatigue and your state of relaxation, Mike is going to, after he gets home to Virginia, give both of us each other's numbers.
Right.
And I am in Coolidge and in Florence and in Cactus Forest, and I'm very easy to find when I want to be found. So
Okay.
I'm
down here in the Royal Valley.
I am looking forward to making your acquaintance and eventually friendship, because I miss John Andrews terribly.
Mm-hmm.
I do too. I mean, one of the things he asked me to do, I found out he was terminal when I went to go give him a visit, and he'd been in the hospital in I can't remember the name of the town, just north of San Diego on 15.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been out in the desert with John. When we got up, I had never ever seen a hair messed up by John Andrews.
You want to talk about well cared for?
Yeah.
John Andrews and I share one thing in common. We both have utterly incredible wives who never age.
Well, I have a sweet wife. She's good looking, and she allows me to have fun.
I have a good wife who requires me to assist her in caring for 3 elderly 86-year-olds with various profound ailments, and an autistic bipolar 21-year-old son who is huge. And I work 6 days a week, 12 to 16 hours a day sometimes. And I can be a little hard to get a hold of, but I've learned my lesson from the loss of a lot of my elders. I'm not a fair weather friend, as Mike can tell you.
Yeah, I'm not either.
All right.
And if I don't like you, you would probably know it already via the telephone. So you'll be able to pass that hurdle.
Well, that sounds wonderful. Tonight.
And this is the group of the UFO community and the spin-offs from that, Sasquatch and other shit. I feel so comfortable in this group of people. It's just, I've joined all sorts of things, and after 6 months or a year, oh, fuck, I don't belong, I don't fit in, or it's not stimulating.
Well,
then I stumbled into this thing when I went up to see Michael, and was it March of 19? Michael?
Yeah.
I knew he was going to be at the MUFON event. I think Jeremy Doorbell, as I call him, Doorbell was previewing Lazar, which was really a promo for him.
Hey, was this here in Phoenix?
Yeah.
Okay, was this when I was there with you?
No.
Oh, okay. Because the last time he was in Phoenix, he invited me to come along, and then he kept calling on me from the audience to chime in, so of course I did.
Bay Area. This was at Bay Area, 2019.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, yeah, when I met Mike, he was really dedicated, and he didn't have the family obligations that I had. And
it's more like obsessed versus dedicated.
well,
Laser focused.
for the last, how many years now have we known each other?
Since 96, 95?
Oh my God, it's been that long.
Yeah.
Check this out. He was my lone gunman back when he was a young greenhorn.
When did you first get hold of me, Michael?
God, it's been a long time, Jim. I don't remember. It's been decades. Decades.
Was it in the 80s?
Would have been late 80s. Yeah.
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 So it's been a whole bunch of fucking years. It's over 30 years. No. Yes, sir, I can do math, you know. But, you know, Michael's like, Michael and I are like I was with John.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, John mentored me through the process of product development and business advertising, that sort of thing, and he made damn sure that all of the copyrights and proprietary rights, when the contract terminated, everything reverted back to me. The Roswell ship, which was actually my conclusions portion of my report of investigation on everything, was released as the tester model kit of the Roswell UFO. And the thing that I love the most about this entire process is that it's just such a pleasure, because I've connected with some real people that have real knowledge, that understand how the process by which I obtain my knowledge. And just consider me an old-fashioned gumshoe who knows how to put pieces of a puzzle together. I predate the internet, but when I have to, I use it. But I'm also a businessman who has to feed his family.
Yeah, yeah. No, people say, well, how come you know these people? I'm talking about Ben Rich and Ken Collins and I don't know if my brain's not working. All the original A-12, YF-12, and SR-71 pilots, you know, Arnie Gunderson and Brett Whitney, and I knew people at Honeywell, I knew people at Rosemont. I started having a full collection of people, and I interviewed those people and tracked them down before there was an internet. Should
I introduce you to a physicist by the name of Hal Puthoff, or do you already know him?
What was the last name?
Hal Puthoff.
Puthoff, physicist, zero-point energy guy.
You've heard of him.
He's almost 80 now.
Well, so am I. I have one more birthday in my 70s.
Ah, okay, well, I'm 61, so I'm still your junior by a long shot.
I'm 78, and I find it amazing I've been retired over 10 years now. And I'm busier now. I do more things now than I ever did when I was working. So, and my last real job, I was the curator at the Pacific Aviation Museum in Pearl Harbor for 4 years.
Ah, gotcha. Okay, well, that explains much. And sir, that is a highly honorable post.
Oh yeah, and then before that I was a restoration manager for the Museum of Flight at Dane Field. I was responsible for the restoration of the XF-8U Crusader, the prototype.
Jim, tell him.
I was in charge of the restoration of the only de Havilland comet left in America.
Wow.
Jim, tell him about your A-12, Jim.
Jim, do you have an A-12 stashed somewhere?
I say, Ben Rich and I used to talk. He'd normally call, but if I called his 732, he'd recognize my voice. I said, hi there, no, Mr. Goodall. I said, I'll connect you with Mr. Rich. And he put me on speakerphone. And he may have a half a dozen engineers in his office, Kelly's old office. And we would just chat about airplanes and, what I was seeing out in the desert. Whatever. But in August of '89, Ben called me at home. He said, Jim, I have it from, he was going to say the horse's ass, but he stopped. He said, I have it from the horse's mouth that the Blackbirds aren't going to make it through Congress. And if anyone can scrounge one, it's you.
We were talking about the rivalry between Kelly and Curtis LeMay and between the XB-70 and the A-12.
Yeah.
With McNamara sitting in the middle of the seesaw. That was a major historical discussion tonight on video.
I mean, Kelly had offered to build 100 F-12Bs at $14 million apiece, not counting government-installed equipment like the engines and the avionics and the weapons.
Mm-hmm.
But he would give him a Mach 3 interceptor, and McNamara turned him down. So, for $14 million apiece, there was going to be two wings, one at Cape Cod, and that was the name of that base up there. Otis Air Force Base.
Right.
There were going to be 3 squadrons of 15 or 16 airplanes per squadron, and plus then you have ones that always go through phase dock. And the West Coast base was going to be Payne Field in Everett, Washington.
Yeah.
And boy, that would have been a kick in the ass to have that. But if you lived on Whidbey Island or Hat Island, the north end of the Sound, you probably wouldn't appreciate a whole bunch of J-58s launching.
Okay, here's a little bit of history for you. My father-in-law was a Navy veteran during the Korean War, end of Korean War. And he went from being an able seaman to being the operator of a Mark V, deep diving suit.
Okay.
The classic deep sea diver. And Whidbey Island, as you know, is Puget Sound area.
Oh, yeah.
And you got those big-ass octopuses that sometimes grow as big as a Volkswagen Beetle.
Yep.
And one of them decided that it wanted to make love to him and perhaps taste him when he was in approximately, I say he's at a depth of about 35 feet off Whidbey Island. And suddenly he found himself in the fight for his life. And when they finally got him up, and as you know, it's very hard to cut a slice out of an octopus, no matter how sharp your knife is.
Yeah.
But he told his chain of command that he would never dive again. And he didn't care where they sent him to finish his hitch, but he'd never go in the ocean again. And he came home, married my mother-in-law, and produced 2 girls, the youngest one of which is my wife.
Oh.
And so I recently did a piece of art, a sketch illustration of him dealing with the octopus, which snuck up behind him.
Oh, wow.
And it's a drawing. And once I get your email, I'll send it to you, because that's live from Whidbey Island.
Well, you know how to spell Whidbey Island, correct?
Whidbey.
My email is area51@whidbeyisland.com.
Area51@whidbeyisland.com.
The B-H-I, D like in David, B like in boy, E-Y, yeah.
Yeah.
That's my email.
Area51@whidbeyisland.com.
I'll get it all to you. Don't worry about it.
Whidbey Island.
Don't worry about it, Bill. I'll get you covered, Bill.
Some of the best Navy SEAL tools and mini-subs have come out of Whidbey Island. design-wise.
You know, I sold real estate there for 8 years.
There's a lot of top secret Navy shit going on up there, dude. Whidbey Island is a very interesting place.
The electronic warfare stuff, and that's why when you're looking at Brett closures, Whidbey Island Naval Air Station came up, and the Navy said, hey, they said, this is the only place that we can realistically test our jamming capabilities.
Okay, in a book called Goliath, my illustrations of two concepts of a mini sub that can be piloted by a Navy SEAL and also a drone. Both of those designs are similar to ones that were bandied about up at Whidbey Island. So anyway, long story short, Steve Alton, the author of the book, and me, we got a visit from NIS and a few other things, but that's another story for another day. This phone's going to die. It's an honor and a pleasure, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, that's, I'm going to be delighted to meet you.
Well, I'm a lot of fun, sir. I've seen some wonderful things in life.
Yeah.
Which, John Andrews, to go back to my dear friend John, I have, you run into very, very few people in your lifetime that you can't think of anybody, including yourself, ever thinking anything negative about the person.
He was about as pure of an adult male human as I've ever met.
He was a wonderful human being on top of that.
Yeah.
With an incredible mind.
He had a spirit. He had a soul. He was honest. I don't like using the word was because he still is, and he's still around, and he sees all of us.
Yeah.
I mean, John and I, we were at the, it's gone now, but it was the La Quinta. It was near Bellagio. And we had, and this is in the early 90s. And here are two grown men, we're sitting on the floor, we're farting, and we're laughing, and we're telling jokes. And I mean, there was no alcohol or drugs involved. We were just having just the most fun. He was as dear as a person that could have, that I wasn't related to blood-wise. And when he found out, when he told me that, hey, I'm dying, I didn't want to tell anybody, but it's, you know, the cancer's gone crazy. Because we thought he'd gotten the bladder part taken care of.
Well, I just remember it was Good Friday. I think it was Good Friday when I found out that he died. And that it happened earlier that morning.
Yeah. But Darlene, John had instructed Darlene to give me or John Lear